if you criticize someone, don't lie. Don't say I didn't support Abrams because I did. Don't say that I don't support Democrats because...
Okay, something I can always appreciate, and I'm sure many of you here probably do as well, is when you have somebody who might be, let's say, on the left politically, but despite that will still really make a sincere and earnest effort to keep an open mind and have a dialogue with people, even if they may disagree on certain things. I would vouch that one of those people is recent Grammy Award winner Killer Mike, and also famous rapper. You'll see what I mean right here when he has this interaction with The View, which we'll talk about in a moment. But first, guys, please make sure you like our channel, comment, and subscribe to resist the mainstream. I'm your host, Darian, and let's get right into it.
You know, I'm a former prosecutor.
Yeah.
And there were some other headlines that came out. And I was very upset about it.
Yeah.
Because it was unnecessary, and you don't do that on that special night.
Yeah.
Especially for what I read about.
Yeah.
So what I'm gonna ask you is, there was an incident at the Grammys. It led to you being taken out in handcuffs and arrested. That was wrong. Obviously, it's an ongoing legal matter, so I don't know how much you can say about it.
Well, as a prosecutor, you know I can't say it.
You can't say much. But can you just give us some sort of description, because people are they're talking too much.
I think the backstage was overcrowded. I think the winners were exuberant. And I think security got a little overzealous, and that's all. It's all, you know, it's water under the bridge for me.
Yeah.
But I like to say all of my heroes have been in handcuffs: Malcolm, Martin, Mandela, Medgar. So, you know, I walked out with the same dignity and respect that I walked in with. You know what that means until you sat down.
Yeah.
And then it's just like you in a tuxedo and God, and you're like, well, damn. This is what my grandmother was talking about.
You're equally well known for being a political activist on top of your music, and you were a campaign surrogate for Bernie Sanders. You campaigned for your home state Democratic senators Raphael Warnock and John Ossoff.
Yep.
Yeah, and you got some attention recently for being somewhat critical of President Biden, saying you weren't ready to endorse him yet. What's your holdup there?
What's my holdup? Well, first of all, I think everyone should focus on hyper-local. We get caught up in the soap opera of federal elections, and that's fine. But if you are concerned with the federal election, you don't know who your city council or your wardsman is, you don't know who your mayor is, and you don't have a good list of state representatives or governor, then you're just a part of whoever wins the Super Bowl or fanfare. Right. So my most important election is going to be in about a year and a half for who's my mayor going to be. I think that Andre Dickens is doing a great job around housing.
Love what he's saying there. Just to add to that little list of Killer Mikes that he talked about with local leaders, a simple one that I think has gotten very relevant, especially in the past few years. School boards. Look at who's on your school board. They're determining what your children are learning. I mean, that's huge, in addition to mayor, governor, and anything else Killer Mike is talking about. And I think that's also an insightful point he makes about the whole fanfare thing. It's often like right wing, left wing, red versus blue. It's just theater, largely. And I think it goes without saying that you can be a conservative or a liberal or whatever and acknowledge that. You can acknowledge that the two sides, Republican, Democrat, largely don't care about our interests and that they're just putting on a show. You're just a viewer of the carnival, frankly. So I love that point that Killer Mike made. Let's keep going.
Atlanta, and I don't want that to be lost. Even though we have a Republican governor, Brian Kemp, I have a good relationship with him. I like what he's done in terms of Georgia business. We've been leading business amongst all states for the last 10 years, and he brought back the Hope Scholarship and expanded it. So if you're a kid in Georgia, you're poor, you got a B average, you can go to college for free or trade school. So in my community, girls are going to college, but boys don't have anywhere to go, and they're not choosing to. In my community, I have a push for trades. That's why I support organizations like Georgia Youth Build. I support organizations like Next Level Boys Academy because they usher out boys. I need my daughters to be able to marry somebody. Right. So, and even in that case, I have said, okay, this governor's doing a good job. In terms of nationally, I'm just kind of doing what my grandfather said, staying out of white folks' business and watching what happens. You know, I'm going to see what happens. If there's a candidate that pops up around September, October that needs a push that's really, and policy-wise is good for us, going to jump up. But for right now, I just don't want to be involved in the soap opera because I'm much too concerned about what's going on in Atlanta on a hyper-local level.
That's so
you lost me a little bit with your support of Kemp, but let me tell you this.
Not support of
some of
Kemp.
his policies.
I mean, that's some misinformation. You cannot like me, but don't lie on me. I saw someone I really respect, a black woman who's a commentator.
So you don't support him, you like his policies.
Well, I support
some specific ones he named.
Beyond it, he's the governor of my state, so I have to be involved with him because I can't divorce myself. But let me say this. If you criticize someone, don't lie. Don't say I didn't support Abrams because I did. Don't say that I don't support Democrats because...
Okay, supporting Abrams, his bit about God was based. Supporting Abrams, not based. All right, that's all.
I've helped get 3 Democratic mayors elected. I've helped get 2 state representatives elected. But if someone is in the king's seat, I'm not going to not have dinner with the king on the behalf of my people. I have to do that.
Let me just point some of Biden's achievements out for the black community, right?
So, notice how in that exchange just now, the View hosts they didn't comment on Killer Mike saying that, his weird comment about, well, let's leave that to the white people. Let them worry about it. Kind of a weird comment, but, whatever. The first thing they say is, well, I was on board with you other than Sonny specifically. She says, well, I was on board with you other than the Kemp thing. And then, he clearly shut that down quick. It just shows how this extreme partisanship that a lot of these people hold, it's sickening, honestly. I mean, Killer Mike is sitting here, he's obviously a Democrat, he's obviously a left-winger, and he's explaining how, but yeah, I'll work with Republicans when we get decent things done for our community, at least from his perspective, which is respectable. I totally respect that. And their reaction is, well, you support him, we don't like that. He literally said that he's just working with them because he has to, because they're the local leaders. And I think that's a good mentality to have, no matter where you fall on the spectrum politically. It only makes sense. If we want to even have a chance of having a unified country again, that's a mentality we all must employ. So good on Killer Mike for that. Mad respect.
The lowest black unemployment rate on record, lowest gap between black and white unemployment on record.
We gotta give them a clap.
Black wealth is up by 60% relative to pre-pandemic, the largest increase on record. Has helped 8 million renters and their families stay in their home, over 40% of whom were black, and the largest effects in majority black neighborhoods like yours. Delivered investment of over $7 billion to support HBCUs. Put $1 billion into Head Start. Whoopi's gonna like that. A program where more than 28% of children and pregnant women who benefit blah,
blah, blah. Yeah, Biden did this, did that. He threw money at this, threw money at that. You know what else he's throwing money at? Or rather, you know where else he's throwing money? He's thrown the taxpayers' money in the gutter, okay? He's added trillions of dollars in debt. The inflation is out of control. We had a report the other day where now Americans are considering fast food a luxury item. All right, that's how down bad we are right now. But hey, at least Biden threw money at some organization that Democrats like. Ugh. Rolling my eyes. All right, let's keep going.
Identify as black.
Yep.
So those are Biden's accomplishments in the black community. Okay? And Kamala Harris.
That was a white woman saying that too now. Shouts out, that's an ally.
Kamala Harris is essentially a White House DEI hire, and she slept her way to the top. Don't believe me? You do a simple web search. Kamala Harris, Willie Brown. Enough said.
So I hope you'll consider that, but some polls are suggesting that there's been a rise in black voters supporting Trump. Do you believe these polls, and what policies that are important to black men are being addressed by the GOP?
Well, I got the short time to answer that.
Yeah, I'll give you this. I'll give the Democrats this. Black people, especially black men in the South, are afraid. They have concerns around immigration. They have concerns around gun control. They have concerns around wealth building. So if I was the Democrats, I'd try to speak directly to that base. You guys already have their ear. Most of them have voted for you all their lives. So that doorway is still open for you guys to walk in and engage. I also like to thank Biden for engaging and bringing onto his administration Keisha Lance Bottoms.
Yes.
I think she's excellent. I'd like to also encourage Georgians to follow Democrats like Kasim Reed, like Andre Dickens, like Bill Campbell, and see where they're going. Where are the Democrats you support in your state pivoting to, and follow the people you like?
Yes, make sure that you get out and vote in the local elections. We say it all the time. You gotta do it. Our thanks to Killer Mike. His latest album, Michael, is available right now.
Well, everybody, that wraps it up. Hope you enjoyed that. I think it's always, even if we don't agree with Killer Mike on everything, it's always nice to see a person on the other side of the aisle, so to speak, who is a real and sincere attempt to reach out and at least get some kind of positive legislation done with local leaders. So that's an awesome thing. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you have any suggestions for what we should do in a future video, please let us know down below in the comments. Cheers, y'all.